Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. How are you? How was your day in quarantine day and social distancing? I hope your life is always healthy, enjoy, and happy. We are from third group. The members are me, Afifa Alicia, as the first speaker, and the second is Amalia Nur Hasana, and the last is Ginanjar Hidayatullah. In this opportunity, we will present our material is qualitative research method. And in this part, I will explain about the characteristic of qualitative research method, research problem, and the last is literature review. Okay, before we talk about the characteristic of qualitative research, the qualitative research method according to Denzil and Lincoln in 1994 that qualitative research method is multi-method in focus, involving and interpreting, and then the naturalistic approach to its subject matter. Or we can say that the researcher in this research, in qualitative research, will explore more, sorry, will explore deeper in the problem. So the example of this qualitative research method is like the analysis and then the effectiveness or the implementation. So I will explain my material using PPT. Okay, next move to the PPT. Here are the characteristic of qualitative method. There are any five characteristics. The first one is exploring a problem and developing a detailed understanding of a central phenomenon. Second, having the literature review play a minor role but justify a problem. I think in this characteristic, like when the researcher adding some information to support their problem in the research. Next, stating the purpose and research question in a general and broad way as to the participant experience. Here, the researcher will make a state what is the purpose and research question in a general. And next, collecting data based on words from a small number of individuals, and then analyzing the data for description and themes using text analysis and interpreting the larger meaning of findings. So here the researcher will explore and analysis the data. And the last is writing the report using flexible, emerging structures and evaluative criteria and including the researcher's subjective reflexivity and bias. So after collecting the data, the researcher will start to write the report and will make their perception about the research. Next is research problem. According to Creswell, the book, that research problems are the educational issues, controversies, or concern that guide the need for conducting a study. And this is the research problem in the statement section. The first is educational topic, the research problem, a justification of the importance of the problem, deficiencies of parts research and practice, and the last is importance of addressing the problem for diverse audience. The last is literature review. First, identifying key terms to use in their search of the literature. Second one is locating the literature. Next, evaluating the materials and making a determination of its relevance for use. Next, creating a literature map. And the last is writing the literature review.
So we will talk about writing process in qualitative research. But before that, let's talk about emerging process in qualitative research. Qualitative research is an emerging design. An emerging process indicates that the intent or purpose of a study and the question asked by the researcher may change during the process. Why? Because we know that qualitative research is subjective, and the different people may have different perspective. For example, this is the illustrate. The first researchers ask the question general, and next when the researcher start to focus the question more detailed, and then the last is going deep, because we know that qualitative research is going deep. And next we have writing qualitative research question. There are general guidelines from Creswell that can help you design and write these questions. First is expect your qualitative questions to change and to emerge during a study to reflect the participants' views. And the second is ask only a few general questions. Usually, 5 to 7 questions are enough to permit the participants to share information. So, don't use too many questions. The third is ask question using action verbs such as generate, discover, understand, describe, and explore, instead of words conveying cause and effect relationship such as affect, relate, compare, determine, cause, and influence. Then the last design and write two types of qualitative research question: the central question and sub question. So what is okay? We have the central questions. This is overarching question for explore in a research study. The strategies are: the first, begin with the word how or what rather than why. And the second, specify the central phenomenon you plan to explore. The third is identify the participants in the study. And fourth, mention the research site for the study. So this is the script or the formula for making a question. What is the central phenomenon for participant at research site? And the example is what is self-esteem for high school students? This is the question, the example of central question. And next is sub-question. Sub-question refine the central question into sub-question to be addressed in the research. Usually, the qualities are open-ended, emerging, neutral, and few in number, but they provide greater specificity to the question in the study. This is the script or the formula. What is the sub-question issue for participant or optional information at research site? Optional information. For example, what is self-esteem as seen through friends? This is the sub-question example. Next is we have problems typically found in central question in qualitative research. First is too general. For example, what is going on here? This is also informal, right? And better example is what is the process blah blah blah. We can see here. And the second is to focus. For example, how did the committee make a curriculum decision about a course on the environment? Better example is what is the process of the curriculum committee in making decision about course. So this is different, right? And the last is too laden with assumption. For example, how did the curriculum committee address its alienation from the college administration? And better example is what was the role of the college administration in the curriculum committee's deliberations? And the last is method of data collection in qualitative research. First is interview. Can be used to explore the views, experience, beliefs, and motivation of individual participants because we directly talk with participants and usually start with we have to start with the general question first because good question should be open-ended and then neutral, sensitive, and understandable. So do not start with the sensitive topics, but start with the question that participant can answer easily. And another method of data collection that we usually found are questionnaire, observation, testing, and experiments. After we interview or make a questionnaire for the participants, we collect the result with the forms data like this. First is document. It is a good source for text in Word, and the second is audio visual materials consist of image and sounds. For example, photograph, video, and digital image. Or maybe when you record during your interview, you can put to support your research. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Now I will share about data analysis, reporting, and evaluate. The first is collecting qualitative data. Qualitative data collection is more than simply deciding on whether you will observe or interview people. 5 steps compares the process of collecting qualitative data. You need to identify your participant and insights, gain access, determine the types of data to collect, develop data collection forms, and administer the process in a ethical manner. And next is what are the 5 process steps in qualitative data collection? Based on general characteristics of qualitative research, qualitative data collection consists of collecting data using forms with general, emerging questions to permit the participant to generate response, gathering word, text, or image data, and collecting information from a small number of individual or sites. And this is 5 step in qualitative data collection. The first to identify, the next phase is to gain access, and the third once permission are in the place. The fourth, at the same time, you need to design protocol or instrument for collecting and recording the information. And last and finally 5, you need to administer the data collection with special attention to potential ethical issue that may arise. Next slide is what the 6 step in analyzing and interpreting qualitative data. Maria has processed through the 6 steps commonly used in analyzing qualitative data. These steps are not always taken in sequence, but they represent paying and organizing the data for analysis engaging in an initial exploration of the data throughout the process of coding it. Let's get to the look in picture. Yeah, you can see in this page figure 8.1 page. You can visualize the first major step in his process by examining the bottom-up approach to analyze in figure 8.1. So the figure qualitative research first collect data and prepare it analysis. This analysis initially consists of developing a general sense of the data, and then coding description and terms about the central phenomenon. Let's look at some of the features of this process in more detail. Okay. Next page is how do you interpret findings? Interpretation involves making sense of the data or the lesson learned as described by Lincoln and Guba. Interpretation in qualitative research means that researcher steps back and forms some larger meaning about the phenomenon based on personal views, comparisons with past studies, or both. Qualitative research is interpretive research, and you will need to make sense of findings. You will find this interpretation in a final section of a study under headings such as discussion, conclusion, interpretation, or implication. This section includes summarize findings, convey personal reflection, make comparison to the literature, and offer a limitation and suggestion for future research. Next slide. What is a research report and what are its types? The type is in the process research and with the development of a written your research. A research report is a completed study that reports an investigation or exploration of a problem, identifies questions to be addressed, and include data collected, analyzed, and interpreted by the research. It is composed for audience, varies in length or format, and differs for quantitative and qualitative research. Next, what audience will receive the report for groups and individuals to understand and potentially use findings from research. You write the research report in a way that is stable to the intended audience. Thus, a cardinal rule for writing is to write for the audience. Next is table 9.1. Employ varied standards as shown in table 9.1. Rules and procedures in place at a college and university govern the criteria used by faculty, advisor, and committees. Journal review and journal editors employ criteria presented once a year, typically in the journal and often of the journal's web page. So you can see standard in faculty, standard in journal, in police, practicing educators in the field, and conference paper review, and the researcher. You can find the standard in this table. Okay, and the last page is about understanding concept and evaluate research studies. I found 9. The first is, if you were to prepare a research report for your faculty advisor, what 3 standards might this advisor use to assess the quality of your research? Number 2 is, assume that you come across the following sentence in research report that best a language. And number 3, describe why the mother's trust in principles that case study would be categorized as a scientific approach to qualitative research. Number 4, if you were to develop a research report to be presented to the school district based on the parent involvement study, what topic would you include in a list of bullet points for your one-page executive summary? Number 5, find a journal article and develop an outline of the major elements. Number 6, find a journal article and identify the point of view used by the author. Next is challenge the point of view of the author in the journal article you read for question. And the next, discuss. Identify the words in a journal article the author used to convey a research sense of the study. And the last is select either a quantitative or qualitative study published in an educational journal and critique. It used the checklist in the chapter figure 9.6 or 9.7. Discuss the strength and the weakness of the article. Okay guys, maybe that's all for me.